The morning it slapped me on the back, there was no one in the bathroom. I know how that sounds, but that's exactly what happened. My name is Maya Callahan. I'm 31 years old, and I grew up in a 4-bedroom apartment on the 3rd floor of a building in Pittsburgh's Polish Hill neighborhood. A place where the walls are thick, the winters are long, and the old women on the 1st floor still leave bread and salt near the door on New Year's Eve. My grandmother used to say that every home has a keeper, not a ghost, not a demon, something older than both, something that had been in the walls long before any of us arrived and would be there long after we were gone. She called it the domovoi. Most of her stories ended the same way. Respect it, and it will protect you. Disrespect it, and it will make your life miserable in ways you can never quite explain. My mother believed every word. My sister Lena believed most of it. I believed enough of it to keep quiet when I should have. Derek believed none of it. Derek was Lena's husband, a big, loud man from Columbus who worked in construction and thought that anything he couldn't hold in his hands wasn't worth talking about. He wasn't cruel, he wasn't mean-spirited, he just had that particular brand of confidence that comes from never being scared of anything. The kind that makes a man laugh at things he doesn't understand, because laughing is easier than wondering. He and Lena had moved into the apartment 2 years before the events I'm about to describe. My mother gave them the large room at the end of the hall. I had the smaller room across from the bathroom. My mother slept in the room closest to the kitchen, the way she always had. For the first few months, everything was fine. I should tell you that strange things had happened in that apartment before Derek ever arrived. Small things, easy to dismiss if you were the dismissing type. When I was 12, I lost a school ID card on a Tuesday and found it sitting in the center of my desk on Thursday. A desk I had cleared twice. My mother said nothing. She just nodded slowly, like it confirmed something. When I was 19, I woke up at 3 in the morning to the sound of something walking in the hallway. Not heavy, not threatening. More like the careful, deliberate steps of someone who didn't want to wake anyone. I lay still and listened. The steps went to the kitchen, paused, and came back. The next morning, I found the cabinet above the stove left open, the one that stuck and required 2 hands to open properly. No one had been up. No one admitted to it. My grandmother told me once, it checks on things at night. It makes sure everything is where it should be if something is wrong in the house. Truly wrong. It gets restless. For most of my life, the apartment felt quiet, settled. Whatever lived in those walls had decided we were acceptable tenants. That changed the night Derek laughed at it by name. It was a Wednesday in late October. Lena told me about it the following evening after everything had already begun. She and Derek had gone to bed around 11. The apartment was dark and quiet. The heat hadn't fully kicked on yet for the season, so the windows were sealed, and the air had that particular still quality that old buildings get in autumn, like the whole structure is holding its breath. Lena was almost asleep when she heard it. A soft rustle from the corner of the room. A plastic grocery bag on the chair near the door. The kind you mean to deal with and forget about. Had shifted slightly, not much, just enough to notice. There was no draft. The windows were closed. The door was closed. There was no reason for that bag to move. Lena went still. Derek apparently did not. She said he spoke into the dark in a low, mocking voice, the tone he used when he was performing for an audience that didn't exist. "Oh great, the house idiot showed up. What's he gonna do? Rearrange our socks?" He laughed. A real laugh. Loose and easy and completely unafraid. Lena told him to stop. She said it quietly, the way you say something when you already know it won't help. She told him, "Our domovoi isn't gentle. I've told you this. Don't do this. Derek kept going. He leaned toward the corner where the bag had moved and said, "And I'm keeping this clean." Something along the lines of, "Go ahead, little guy. Do your worst. I'm terrified. I really am." More laughter. Then silence. Then sleep. Lena lay awake for a long time after that, staring at the ceiling. The next morning, Thursday, I woke up at 5:30. I had an early shift at the clinic where I work as a medical transcriptionist. I got up in the dark, moved through the hallway by memory, and pushed open the bathroom door. I want to be precise about what I felt because I've thought about it many times since. As I crossed the threshold, I had the distinct impression that something had moved behind me, not footsteps exactly, more like a displacement of air, the feeling you get when someone passes close by you in a crowded room. I turned and looked. The hallway was empty. The apartment was dark and quiet. I could hear Derek snoring faintly through the wall. I turned back to the sink. I'd been washing my face for maybe 30 seconds when something struck me between the shoulder blades. Not a punch, not a shove, a flat, open-handed impact. The kind that makes a sound, a clap, sharp and deliberate and completely unmistakable. I spun around. The bathroom was empty. The door was exactly as I'd left it, slightly ajar, the hallway dark beyond. My heart was pounding. I stood there for a long moment, water dripping from my face, looking at the empty space behind me. Then I finished washing my face, got dressed, and went to work. I didn't tell anyone. I'd learned a long time ago that some things in that apartment were better acknowledged quietly and then set aside. I noted it. I moved on. That was the arrangement. I came home for lunch around noon. Derek was standing in the middle of the hallway looking like a man who had just been told a joke he didn't understand. He had his hands on his hips, and he was staring at the narrow closet near the front door. The one where my mother kept her cleaning supplies, and where Derek had been assembling a small cabinet shelf that week. "Something wrong?" I asked. "My drill bit," he said. "The half-inch. I set it right here." He pointed to the shelf inside the closet. I stepped out to smoke. 10 minutes, came back, and it's gone. He wasn't panicked. He wasn't upset. He was just confused in the particular way of a man who believes that objects behave rationally and is encountering evidence to the contrary. "I've been through everything," he said. "Every drawer, every surface. It's not here." I looked at the closet. I looked at him. I didn't say anything. "It's a drill bit," he said, as if clarifying. "It doesn't walk." I ate my lunch, went back to work, and kept my thoughts to myself. I came home from work at 6 in the evening and smelled it before I reached the end of the hallway. Iodine, sharp and medicinal, and completely out of place. I followed it to the large bedroom, Derek and Lena's room. My mother had renovated it the previous spring. New paint, new baseboards, freshly sealed floors. She'd been proud of it. We'd all been proud of it. The wall above the radiator was stained brown. A full bottle's worth of iodine poured in a slow, even cascade from somewhere near the ceiling down to about waist height. Not splashed, not thrown, poured. Deliberately, carefully, without a single drop reaching the floor. On the radiator itself, a thick bead of medicated ointment had been squeezed out in a neat line along the top edge. Both containers, the iodine bottle and the ointment tube, were sitting closed and upright on the nightstand, lids on, labels facing forward, placed there the way you'd place something if you wanted to make a point. I found Derek in the kitchen. I asked him who had been in the apartment. "Nobody," he said. "I was here all afternoon. Nobody came." I brought him to the room and showed him the wall. Something shifted in his face. Not fear, not yet. More like the first crack in a certainty he hadn't known he was holding. "I don't," he started. He stopped. He looked at the 2 containers on the nightstand. Closed, neat, waiting. "I don't understand." My mother came home an hour later. When she saw the walls, she sat down on the edge of the bed and didn't speak for a long time. That room had taken her 3 weekends and $400 to finish. We gathered in the kitchen that evening. All 4 of us. My mother made tea. We sat around the table the way families do when something has happened and no one quite knows how to name it. The conversation was careful, circling. Derek was quieter than usual. He drank his tea and didn't say much. I noticed that he wasn't laughing. After about 20 minutes, he pushed his chair back and said he'd left something in the bedroom. He walked down the hall. We heard his footsteps stop, then silence. Then, "What the hell is going on in this apartment?" We found him standing in the doorway of the bedroom, staring at the chair near the window. The wooden one he used as a work surface when he was fixing things. It was covered in wood glue, not splashed, just painted. Careful, deliberate strokes in a grid pattern like the surface of a wicker basket. Every intersection precise, every line even. The glue bottle was on the desk beside it, closed, half empty. "I was using that bottle this afternoon," Derek said. His voice had changed. "Full bottle. I put it away myself. I was the last one out of this room." He turned and looked at me, then at Lena, then at my mother. Lena looked at her husband for a long moment before she spoke. "You should have left it alone," she said quietly. "I told you." That was when I told them about the bathroom, about the footsteps behind me in the dark hallway at 5:30 in the morning, about the flat, deliberate impact between my shoulder blades, about turning to find nothing there. Derek sat down on the edge of the bed, carefully, as if he wasn't sure it would hold him, and stared at the floor. That was when Lena told us what had happened the night before. The bag, the dark, Derek's voice in the silence, mocking something he couldn't see. She described it plainly, without drama. She'd been there. She'd told him to stop. He hadn't stopped. My mother listened without moving. When Lena finished, she set down her tea and looked at Derek, not with anger, with something more like patience. The patience of a woman who has known certain things for a long time and is tired of explaining them. "You apologize," my mother said, "tonight before you sleep. You stand at the threshold of this room and you speak out loud and you apologize sincerely, not as a joke." Derek looked at her. He looked at Lena. He looked at the grid of glue on the wooden chair. He didn't laugh. I was in my room when he did it. I heard his voice through the wall, low and careful and stripped of all performance. I couldn't make out the exact words. I didn't need to. The tone was enough. It was the tone of a man talking to something he had decided, finally, to take seriously. After that night, it stopped. No more sounds, no more displaced objects, no more careful, deliberate damage to things my mother loved. The apartment settled back into itself. The walls went quiet. Whatever had been restless in that building returned to wherever it goes when it's satisfied. Derek repainted the wall himself. He didn't complain about it, he just did it one Saturday morning without being asked. He never brought it up again, not once, not with humor, not with skepticism, not at all. Some experiences rewrite a person quietly, without announcement. That seemed to be one of them. 1 week after everything ended, Derek found his drill bit. It was sitting on the shelf inside the closet, exactly where he'd left it. He came and told me about it quietly, in the hallway, like he was reporting something he wasn't sure how to categorize. He held it out to show me. A small silver half-inch drill bit, unremarkable in every way. "Same spot," he said. "Same exact spot." I nodded. I didn't say anything. There wasn't anything to say. That apartment is still in my family. My mother still lives there. She still leaves a small dish of salt near the kitchen doorway on the first night of every new year. An old habit inherited from her mother, who inherited it from hers. I've never heard footsteps in the hallway since that October. I've never felt anything move behind me in the bathroom. The walls have been quiet for years. But I still say goodnight when I leave a room. Just in case. The house is always listening.